Well, excuse the mess on the desk. This is kind of a last minute impromptu kind of video, I guess you could say. So what had happened is I ran across this jtech.com official site, and I said, hey, I think I remember seeing something that I purchased from them. I totally forgot about it. I had purchased this DSO138 with the intentions of assembling it. It's a kit pack, and giving it to my friend so his kid would have a somewhat oscilloscope to use and tinker with, because she sits there next to him when he's in his lab building stuff, and you know, he's on his oscilloscope and stuff. And I was going to build a very low powered kind of battery operated power supply, so she have her own little power supply for the batteries, just kind of like the kid's introduction to electronic troubleshooting and building stuff, you know. And everybody wants to be like their father, and she's no different from most kids, and sits right next to him while he tinkers in the lab. The disappointing factor is I ran across JSO's website, and come to find out, as they mentioned here, and I wasn't aware of this when I purchased it,
the black DSO138 counterfeit kits from a company named SainSmart. Back in May 2015, this company purchased a few DSO138 samples from JYE Tech and then disappeared. A couple of months later, the Smart company started selling their own DSO138 kits. If you take a closer look at their kits, you will find the PCB layout is identical to JYE Tech product. Not surprisingly, they used the same schematic, same component values for their kits, and ran the same firmware without JYE Tech permission. What they had done was just changed PCB color and added some no-use pads, trying to make the board look different. They are stealing. It is shame for a company that appears reputable but behaves like a thief.
okay, so they found somebody that was counterfeiting the board. And apparently this is not the only company that is counterfeiting the board. They actually have a list here of sellers who were reported selling counterfeit DSO138 kits. SainSmart does kind of surprise me. In fact, there's a local electronic distributor that actually buys their products, particularly in regards to 3D printing boards and stuff. And I'm sure they won't be happy to hear that SainSmart is being accused of being ethically and morally incorrect here in this situation. So it might affect their business with this distributor, because I'm going to kind of pass that on, you know, after I talk to JTech and confirm how he confirmed that, you know, this actually happened. I can't just point fingers and not actually talk to somebody personally. But at the same time, there's more than just the same tech blackboard. Apparently there's quite a different boards out there. So they put up this list of saying how you can check it and everything else, and one is what they call PID sticker down here in the corner, and yet I have no sticker. Okay, well, now my kit's old. I bought this a while ago. So other identification marks right here. Now mine's actually a slightly different font. Focus. Should I say it? Anybody watch AVE? Mine's a slightly different font, which, you know, silkscreening font changes all the time depending on the company that you have printed your board. But what surprised me is it's got one too many B's in the beginning. Ooh, one too many B's. Okay, that could actually be a valid mistake also, or it could indicate that this is a counterfeit board. The shade of red, obviously different. That could also have to do with the white balancing of the camera that took this picture. Everything here matches up. Again, the font of the silk screen is slightly different. The C has a space after it for the end of the box. My C is butt up right against the space. It almost actually makes it look like a capital D just facing the wrong direction. Everything else on the board seems to look identical. I mean, even from the pin number sets and just everything. The front of the board looks identical as far as I can tell. Let me see, the actual chip it's running is an SMT32. So I'll have to nowhere on their website can I find what chip should actually be on this. The kits come with this chip particularly pre-installed because they don't think many people have the soldering skill to actually solder that surface mount chip on, and they're probably correct in that factor. And that's a pretty fine pitch chip, so whether I could, I might be able to. It would have been a challenge. I would have accepted the challenge. I'll tell you that right now. Also, they have the SMT component installation guide here, which points out the TL084C being the chip that goes here and shows you the direction of pin 1. I guess there was confusion among the installation for some people that didn't understand the layout of a PCB board, and that, you know, pin 1 is easily identifiable, usually by a little notch or a cutout. Okay, well, I don't know if that's the true processor chip it should have on there. I do know it requires a TTL converter for programming, which that I have, so that's not an issue. I can update the firmware and see if the firmware hiccups or if it allows me to update the firmware. That's one way I could go about doing it after I assemble it. Let's go ahead and pull the other surface mount chip, the one that they do let you solder on because it's got not as fine of a pitch and a little bit wider width on the pins and everything. Actually, it's not the only surface mount. There's surface mount capacitors, there's surface mount resistors, just the main processor chip. They basically want to put that on themselves so they can test the board. They have a board test procedure they go through to ensure that, you know, that chip is actually communicating correctly. So, yep, I seem to be at a loss here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually show this on camera. So what am I looking for? TL084C. It says 84C. It is from STI. So 084C, just no TL on the front of it. Not sure if there's a difference. These could be the same chip. I think they even mentioned in one of their documentations that this chip is an STI chip. So parts seem to be authentic that it came with. Well, at least that chip. Every other part is really just capacitors and jumpers, pins, surface mount resistors, surface mount capacitors, 1% resistors, diodes, some cabling, BNC connector, 2.4-inch color LCD. You know, so kind of hard to say. They keep referring to their board as a down here, as a matter of fact, they refer to their board as a 1313801-060 has the improvements, and then there's an older model. I have no idea where that number is. Nowhere can I find that number anywhere on here. Well, I do. I have a 109-13800-00C, but I don't see that one in reference anywhere on here versus this 13803K and 13801K, or even the 04K, so or 02K. Is this the original one? Was my stock that old? Possible. So let's turn to the documentation. Now anybody can print out somebody else's documentation, especially when it's a partly open source project, and yet they also do release a lot of their documentation down here. So off the top of my head, I find this page here explaining the TL084C STI chip installation, pin 1, direction, everything else. And we've already determined, yes, oh, that's not it. There it is. So that is printable. Somebody could have printed that out. I don't think my arrow is printed in red, no. But you can tell it's a light gray, so there was definitely a lighter gray than the rest of the prints. So that definitely was a color document that was printed. Over here we have the schematic, and it actually has JYE Tech at gmail.com and JYETech.com, which happens to be the website I'm on. JYE Tech Ltd. If somebody was to forge something or make a copy of somebody else's product, why, yeah, if the schematic was downloadable, then you're right. I very well may include the schematic and might as well print it out for the customer of my forged boards too. But would I put the original author's website, telephone, and email address in it? Or does this kind of tell me how old this is? Because the contact email currently is not, he's no longer using Gmail. I found the new contact email on the website, and it doesn't say anything about Gmail. They're actually using their own domain as if they had their own internet server now on their domain that's associated with jtech.com. So there's a good chance this may just be a very, very old board. Let me see. MCU STM32F103C. Okay. Not the same layout, not the same package, but gave me a little bit of identification here. Let me see. What's the picture of the... So F103 STM32F103C, F103C, STM32F1. So this is the same microcontroller, different package from, it must be old schematics because this pin layout is definitely different, or they did this easier to read within the schematics, I'm not sure. So oddly enough, I got this from GearBest. I think this is an authentic kit. I really do. I mean, my personal opinion is fakes won't take the time to print out a nice, heavy, thick, glossy instructions like this. This isn't just a cheap, you know, cheap printout here. Done on a bubble jet, which would be more of a photocopy, bubble jet kind of, you know, if I'm going to rip your board off and copy you, I'm going to do it as cheap as possible, including the documentation I'm providing to people, because I'm not going to provide people actual support anyway. I'm not going to reply to them anyway. I'm not going to put your email address on there because I don't want you to know that I'm selling a fake board based off of your design. I've copied your design, but yet I'm going to cut your domain off the documentation. I'm going to cut your email and your website off the documentation. I'm going to cover it up with a white piece of paper and photocopy it and send just that to my customers, you know, and I'm going to do it in black and white, not this nice glossy, thick color kind of printing. So there's a good chance I may have gotten an authentic board. It's just a very old, original authentic board, nowhere near the kits and the models and the revisions that they're talking about here today. So the firmware update probably is, well, actually, no, firmware might actually work. It's the same microcontroller, so the firmware may actually work. Hard to say, but you know, so at first I was upset because here I got mine from GearBest and I'm thinking, great, I got a fake board and I didn't know it. And boy, do I hate receiving fake products. Just about as much as their post, as far as in regards to, you know, having their product copied and receiving fake products, I would say my belief is pretty much dead along with their belief in disappointment too as well. As a matter of fact, one of the products I received was a fake GPIB to USB adapter. It said Agilent on it, manufactured in 2009. Completely fake. Obvious fake, everything. Very disappointed in that. They've come down in price so much because I think they're even having a hard time selling the fake ones now at this point. So let's see, the LCD. Most definitely part number 109-13700-00A1. Pins are all nicely labeled. Traces seem to be nice. The ribbon cable is exposed on the bend here. You'd have to be careful with that. It's a brand new part. It's got a protective cover on it. You know, so I can scratch it during the installation and solder and then take it off and it'll still look new. I can't see anywhere on this that this says or indicates that this may be a fake version, a fake model. So I'm going to put the LCD in the middle of the documentation to protect that. So let's continue here. So they say sellers reported selling fake DSO130 kits, and I always admit I bought mine from GearBest, and there it is, GearBest. Alright, well, I'm not quite sure how GearBest works. If GearBest is just a single seller, or if GearBest is just selling stuff on behalf of a bunch of other people that don't want to deal with support and what have you. So, I haven't figured that out yet. Amazon sellers, SainSmart, KK Moon, and iLaStore-EU. That's a shame with the KK Moon, because I don't think he's making fake boards. I've bought products from him. I've bought lithium-ion batteries that were very well known, forged lithium-ion batteries, 14500s as a matter of fact, and I've tested the capacity on every lithium-ion battery I bought from them, and I got authentics from them. So if he's selling fake boards, it's because somebody sold him fake boards. And this is what happens with Amazon sellers and eBay sellers. Some are doing it intentionally, knowing they're selling a fake item, and some get caught in the crossfire even though they sell or try to sell authentic stuff, and they actually got ripped off when they purchased the items because they thought they were getting a good deal to resell with a little bit more higher profit margin, right? So thanks, buddy. These are what, eBay sellers? Yeah, AliExpress sellers. Okay. And then eBay sellers seems to be a nice happy list of eBay sellers. Now, what I find funny about this is I know for a fact that KK Moon actually has an eBay site as well as an Amazon seller account. So he's on both under the same name at that. So the fact that he didn't show up on that one kind of confused me. Now, to go further, there's a post here. And this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Under the recommended DSO130 Kit resellers, and this was posted June 23rd, 2015, it recommends 2 sites. NKC Electronics in USA and New Elec is NOO Elec, which is www.newelec.com. /store/DSO138.html if you're interested in the full string, or you're sure you can go to the site and find it. And a bunch of people talking about, oh, I bought one from here, it's fake. Oh, I bought one here from here, it's fake. And here's a kid who posted something here. He says, I purchased a DSO130 K. Again, I don't know where that number is coming from, unless it's the number that mine's just all zeros. 138000, which tells me it's a very old. I'm like, what, 6 revs back, I guess? Yeah, still might work, who knows. I'm impressed with the product, Okay, so he bought his from New Elec Incorporated, which is the European, I believe the European seller, back in late December. I just finished building it, and I noticed on your site the boards from JYE Tech have a numbered sticker on them. Mine does not. Just for your information. And who replied here? JYE1. So the actual company representative replied within their support board form and says, New Elec has our supply for sure. You may have just received an old stock at which we did not introduce the ID yet. They're referring to the empty box down here that says all of their boards come with a sticker on it and a unique ID that would match a unique ID in their database. And if it's duplicated, it's a fake. And if it's the same one that's been reported multiple times, it's a fake. And if it's not in their database, it's a fake. This is what I read on their first page of their website, and how they go through this whole database and they have this whole thing. And plain and simple, if it doesn't have a sticker, it's a fake. If it's duplicated, it's a fake. But wait, right in the board, they honestly admit it right here from an authorized reseller, in the authorized reseller post, that says you may have received an old stock before we implemented the process of the ID. Well, please enlighten me, JYE. When did you implement this ID? Give me a date. Which revs have the ID? Which revs of the board do not have the ID? What is the full revs of all the board? Is this board here, which is 109-13800-00C. Seems to me that's probably like one of the first original, if not the original rev of the PCB. And did or did you not have a sticker in this white silkscreen box down here? Or was that before you implemented the ID? Because I don't have an ID there. Because I really want to know, one, did I receive a fake? I'm being honest here. And two, your own website has conflicting information. Quite obvious. I mean, the email address on the form, on the instructions that came with my kit, is a Gmail, and it says here you can send an you can verify the genuineness of the boards by sending the ID to JYE Tech at JYETech@163.com. If a board that does not contain the ID, it contains an ID, but the ID does not exist in our database. It contains an ID, but the ID is duplicated, i.e. somebody else has reported the same ID earlier, then, or the board, is a counterfeit. But conflicting information. I'm just saying. So I'm doing this video on two purposes, two reasons. One, before I spend all my time and waste all my time on this $20 kit here and putting all these components and stuff together and soldering it to find out that it's a fake and it won't run, and this may even be an STI processor, a fake microcontroller too as well, that may be actually, truthfully, it could be a dead chip soldered on there for all I know. Nothing surprises me anymore. The Edgelin adapter I received actually came with software, but everybody who received that kit with software said that there was a scratch on the CD. It's like they took a bunch of bad CDs or CDs that were destroyed on purpose with scratches to, ruin somebody else's data, and actually packaged them up and sealed them to send them out these fake Edgelin adapters to look more authentic. Nothing would surprise me. I've seen some awesome fakes, honestly. I hate it, but they're out there, And somebody that used to work for a bank chasing down credit card fraud, I've seen some pretty good fake driver's licenses. I've seen some pretty good fake credit cards, and I've seen some fake credit cards that I probably couldn't tell the difference between the authentic credit card. So people will go at amazing lengths to fake a product and make a buck and basically rip you off. So if I spent all the time putting this board together and I find out there's no firmware on here, I can't load the firmware with my TTL converter, or I can't get it to work in any way, and I guarantee you it's, I double checked all the wiring and everything, and I know this is assembled 100% correct, and yet I contact you and you say, oh, well, yours doesn't have a label here, so it's a fake. We're not going to support you. Or, I guess that's what I want to know now. Is it a fake? Is it not a fake? How do I know? When did you implement this ID system? What rev of the board did you implement this ID system during when you created this database? Or is this one of your first boards with an accidental double B print here for this particular, I'm not sure what this number entitles. Where it says double B, but on the picture on your website it has a single B. So, is it possible this was one of the first boards you ever printed, and I have a really, really, really old authentic kit? Or is it fake? And I would love to find out. I'm truly asking. So this video is actually done for two purposes. Number one, if anybody else is looking for a kit like this for a kid, because as the website actually, as the authentic website here actually advertises, this was kind of designed as more of an educational tool for people to learn on. And that's what I bought it for, was to be more of a tinkering around, playing around educational tool for her to learn on, and so she can be like her dad and have a tool that creates little waves and squares and stuff, just kind of simulates the same kind of signals. If it does a sine wave and a square wave, she'll be happy. She's like, look, Dad, I can do this too. Perfect. So I want to let other people know that apparently there are fake DSO138 kits out there, and your best bet is probably buying from those two distributors listed on the forum, which was recommended off their main webpage here. That was one of the links right off here. Recommended DSO138 kit sellers in green. And then on the other hand, I'm going to contact JYE Tech, and I'm going to ask them to review my video and look at my board and clarify a few things for me, because I'm really freaking confused at this point. And I really do not want to spend my time, which is highly valuable to me these days. And I don't have much time a day to actually do much these days anymore before I'm burned out, you know. I choose to spend my time doing a video sometimes for you guys. And this is an unexpected video, probably due out of a did I get ripped off again kind of thing, because I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. I'm sick and tired of the fakes out there. And whether they work or they don't work, that's not the point. It's the ethics behind it. It's the morals behind it. It's ripping people off. It's thievery. And go ahead. Drop comments down in the comments of this video and disagree with me. I'm not going to care, and I'm not going to reply to you. I stand by that. But on the other hand, I would like JYE Tech to contact me, or I'll contact them, and I'd like them to watch the video and tell me, is this a fake or is it not? Do I waste my time putting it together, or do I throw it in the trash? So, we'll find out. But, so, you've been warned. If you're looking at one of these kits, to buy one of these kits to actually, you know, be an educational tool for you know, kid in your family or something, or you just want to kind of build a kit because you want to test your soldering skills and what have you, then go ahead, feel free, you know. But I recommend using the authorized resellers they recommend here, or verifying some way with the actual with the actual sellers that, you know, you're receiving an authentic board. Or you may run into problems when you go to update firmware and what have you, especially if it's a forged microcontroller. I've received microcontrollers that were fake microcontrollers, even Amtel microcontrollers, AVRs, but they ran fine with the firmware that was actually embedded on there when I received them. But when I went to wipe it, they wiped fine. When I went to clear it, they cleared fine. When I went to default, they defaulted fine. When I went to install my own firmware, forget it. I couldn't write back to it. The chips were they were made faulty. They may have been an authentic faulty collection that should have been destroyed and never did. Somebody took them home and decided to resell them. I don't know. But I don't want to run into any issue like that with this particular microcontroller on this board. So that's why I'm going to be reaching out to JYE to give me an answer on this. And hopefully I'll remember to either do an update video in regards to, was that kit fake, or is it not fake, or did I just receive a very old kit? If I don't get around to do an actual update video, because I have so many videos I need to edit. And let me tell you something, guys, editing is the thing that takes the most. I've deleted videos because I've never gotten around to editing. I can sit here and blab for an hour a day and record like I am right now and say, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, hey, I let the magic smoke out of this today, I blew up 4 capacitors on it, actually had an N MOSFET become unsoldered on the board because of how much heat it got into. Turns out it only takes up to 16 volts, and dumbass me had my power supply, because it's new and I wasn't used to it, and I had it set to 30 volts, so I put double the voltage in there. What do you think happened? But guess what? It's working again too. I already repaired it, and I have those both on video. Will I get around to editing and releasing? I don't know. That's the thing that takes time. This one, I'm putting this out raw. I'm done. I'll contact them. I'll hopefully get around to updating you guys, if not by video, if at least updating the description. So be sure to check the description down below. I may actually just update the description of the video and say, hey, look, I talked to JYE, they contacted me, I talked to them, or I contacted them, they replied to me, they watched my video, and there's the answer down below. But otherwise, beyond that, I'm not going to do any editing off of this. I know I let a couple cuss words flip, and, well, you know what, that's life, you know, and maybe I'll change the status of my channel and not care so much in the future. But I try to maintain my professionalism. I try to maintain I know kids are possibly watching channels like this to learn how to do electronics. I know if YouTube was around when I was 10 years old, darn right I'd be watching that thing, trying to figure out how to do things on my own. I mean, I was already doing stuff on my own. I was screwing with my first 386 computer when I was 13. Was it a Phoenix? Yeah, it was a Phoenix. Phoenix was the manufacturer. The name of the computer I don't remember, but it was sold by Sears. It was a 386 laser, I think. A 386 laser IBM compatible computer, home personal computer, first one, 12 years old, and my dad put some software on there that was written in DOS, and it had a passcode, and he told me I couldn't use it. Why, I don't know. And I hacked it. It was quite simple. And he fixed it, and I did it again, and he fixed it, and I did it again. Then I ended up going to tech school, and they had that same software set up on there, and I hacked theirs too. And the teacher fixed it, and I did it again. The teacher fixed it, and I did it again. You know, so if YouTube was around when I was 12 years old, with that level of curiosity, that level of passion, that level of how does this work, and taking everything apart when I was that young, I could have learned so much more. So I have no doubt that there might be some young ones watching this channel too. So I try to watch my language as much as possible out of respect, you know. But I may flag this one pit video, even though I'm not even sure if the words I said are actually that bad, but it's a matter of opinion, and I understand that and I respect that too. So I may flag this one an 18 and over video only. But yeah, I'm just going to upload it raw as it is. I'm not going to spend any extra time cutting it out and everything. So I hope you guys are having a good night. I'm trying to get to editing some of the other video content I have so I can release another video for you coming out here soon. And remember, keep on tinkering. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. And I hope to update you on this topic here shortly.